Okay, $44,539. Seriously, just let that number sink in for a second. That is the massive daily civil penalty the EPA can slap on you or your facility for violating refrigerant regulations. I mean, a single mismanaged leak or a tiny lapse in your record keeping, and the financial consequences can absolutely devastate a business. The stakes for mastering this material have literally never been higher.
So, welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're here with us. Today, we're diving into your comprehensive roadmap to passing the EPA Section 608 certification, and honestly, just as importantly, surviving the massive 2026 regulatory shift brought on by the AIM Act. Whether you're a technician studying for your exam or a facility manager trying to keep your equipment fully compliant, this explainer is completely designed to get you laser-focused on exactly what you need to know.
Here is exactly how we're going to build your knowledge today. First, the EPA 608 Foundation. Then Type I, small appliances, followed by Type 2 and 3 systems. After that, we'll hit the 2026 AIM Act shift and wrap it all up with leak rates and timelines.
All right, let's jump right into Part 1, the EPA 608 Foundation, establishing the core environmental rules.
So, the absolute bedrock of the Clean Air Act's Section 608 is the venting prohibition. It's strictly illegal to knowingly vent refrigerants into the atmosphere while you're maintaining, servicing, repairing, or disposing of equipment. And yes, this applies to the whole shebang: CFCs, HCFCs, and HFCs. As a tech, this is your golden rule. Intentional venting is hands down one of the most common enforcement scenarios the EPA pursues, and it's something you must avoid at all costs. You always have to recover. Now, to understand where we're going, we kind of need to look at where we've been. Historically, Section 608 was all about ozone depletion. The older refrigerants like CFCs and HFCs contained chlorine, and that chlorine reacts with and destroys the Earth's protective ozone layer. But as we transitioned away from those, we moved over to HFCs. Now, HFCs don't destroy the ozone, but they present a totally new threat: high GWP, or global warming potential. Basically, this measures their climate impact relative to carbon dioxide. Grasping the shift from ozone depletion to high GWP is absolutely crucial to understanding why the rules are changing on us right now.
Moving right along to Part 2, Type I, small appliances. This is the entry-level certification tier.
Knowing exactly what qualifies as a small appliance is a huge deal for the exam. A Type 1 appliance must contain 5 pounds or less of refrigerant. That's the magic number, 5 pounds. Plus, it has to be fully manufactured, charged, and hermetically sealed entirely inside a factory. So we're talking about your everyday window AC units, household refrigerators, freezers, and vending machines. If a system requires any field piping at all, well, it's not a Type 1 appliance, no matter how small it might be.
Next up, Part 3, Type 2 and 3 systems, stepping up to larger commercial equipment.
You really need to clearly distinguish between these two for your certification. Type 2 systems are classified as high-pressure appliances. These guys hold over 5 pounds of refrigerant and use refrigerants with a boiling point between -58 degrees and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This is going to cover most of your standard commercial AC units and heat pumps. On the flip side, we have Type 3 systems, which are low-pressure appliances. These use refrigerants with a boiling point above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Basically, when you hear Type 3, I want you to immediately think of massive equipment, specifically centrifugal chillers used to cool those giant commercial buildings.
All right, Part 4, the 2026 AIM Act shift. These are the game-changing new regulations.
At the absolute heart of this new regulation is what I call the threshold plunge. Under the old Section 608 rules, strict federal leak repair and reporting mandates only kicked in if a system had 50 pounds or more of ozone-depleting refrigerant. But under the new 2026 AIM Act, those stringent leak repair rules now apply to systems containing just 15 pounds or more of HFC refrigerants with a GWP greater than 53. Guys, that's a massive 70% expansion of EPA oversight. It pulls literally thousands of mid-capacity industrial chillers, rooftop units, and small commercial refrigeration systems right into the federal regulatory spotlight.
Now, hold on, because there is a crucial and frankly pretty heavily debated exception you need to know about. Residential and light commercial AC and heat pumps are currently excluded from these new strict 15-pound leak repair reporting frameworks. But, and this is a massive but, you still cannot vent them. Technicians absolutely still require EPA Section 608 certification to open those circuits, and that universal prohibition against venting? Yeah, that's still in full force. The exception really only removes the structured administrative reporting timelines, definitely not your environmental responsibility.
Finally, Part 5, leak rates and timelines. The operational numbers you must memorize. So what actually triggers a mandatory repair? Well, you just need to remember the 10-20-30 rule. If you calculate an annual leak rate that hits these triggers, you've got to take action. For comfort cooling, like your standard office AC, the trigger is 10%. For commercial refrigeration, think supermarket display cases, it's 20%. And for industrial process refrigeration, which is your heavy manufacturing cooling, it's 30%. 10, 20, 30. Memorize those for sure. If your equipment crosses its specific threshold, a regulatory countdown clock starts ticking. And listen, that countdown clock is incredibly tight. You have exactly a 30-day deadline once that threshold is breached. Step 1, detect the leak. Step 2, you must repair the leak to bring the rate below the threshold within 30 days of discovering it. Step 3, conduct an initial verification test to prove your repair actually holds. And Step 4, conduct a follow-up verification test. Under the new HFC rules, this follow-up test must be completed within just 10 days of the system returning to normal operating conditions. It's a highly compressed, totally mandatory timeframe.
Now, what happens if you've got equipment that's just a total nightmare to maintain? Enter the 125% rule. This officially defines a chronically leaking appliance. Basically, if a system loses 125% or more of its total full charge in a single calendar year, it triggers a mandatory report to the EPA by March 1st of the following year. This is a massive red flag for auditors, and it basically means your facility is bleeding refrigerant and money at a completely unacceptable rate.
So, what happens if you fail to hit that 30-day repair window, or if the system just plain can't be fixed? Well, you face the retrofit or retire rule. Honestly, this is probably the most underappreciated consequence of the new regulations. You have exactly 30 days to draft a formal, written plan detailing how you're either going to retrofit the system to a compliant refrigerant or retire and replace the asset entirely. And then, you have exactly 1 year to execute that plan. So yes, the EPA can effectively force you to replace a non-compliant asset. And finally, for the true heavyweights out there, we've got the new Automatic Leak Detection, or ALD, mandates. If you operate massive commercial or industrial systems containing 1,500 pounds or more of covered HFCs, ALD hardware is completely mandatory. For new installations, it's required starting January 1, 2026. And if you happen to have an existing system of that size, you've got until January 1, 2027 to retrofit it with automatic leak detection. The days of just doing manual, occasional checks on these massive systems are officially over.
Which brings us to our final thought today. With the threshold plummeting from 50 pounds all the way down to just 15 pounds, the paperwork, the tracking, and the financial risks have multiplied exponentially. So you've really got to ask yourself, is your facility truly prepared to track, repair, and report leaks on every single 15-pound system under your roof? Because trust me, the EPA is certainly prepared to enforce it. I really hope this explainer has given you the clarity and the structure you need to master your certification and navigate these crucial updates. Keep learning, stay compliant, and definitely take this knowledge straight to the field.